Guy, thank you so much for being on the show. Every time that we connect, and we haven't seen each other in person in a while, I think the last time was San Francisco at Dreamforce or one of these events. I always feel this strong brotherhood with you. And there are a couple reasons why I think you've always been very, yeah, almost like a big brother, right? Where you've given me that feeling and that advice. And I remember meeting you the first time, gosh, I don't know, a decade ago in London, and I just never forget how honest you were with me, and you started to really get my wheels turning about entrepreneurship and purpose and all these sort of things, and it always rings true here on a consistent basis over the last decade or so. So I appreciate it. How are you?
I'm great, and I really appreciate you having me on the show today. Yeah, we go back a long way, and I feel the same. There's definitely a brotherhood here, and we've all gone through some challenges over the last decade, and we're still standing, right? So that in itself is a win. So let's take our wins where we can.
Totally. Well, with even though I feel inspired to go down this philosophical rabbit hole, let's talk a little bit about how to actually win. How can sales organizations crush it? Go-to-market organizations crush it right now, just given the fact that there's so many things changing all the time, more tools than ever before, these sort of things. But for the folks out there, just real quick, maybe you can touch on what EBSTA is focused on today and any new update related to EBSTA.
Yeah, great. So appreciate that. I'll keep the advert really short. I'm the CEO of EBSTA. We are a revenue intelligence platform, but we do things very differently to our peers. So we absolutely believe that relationships drive revenue, and so we build all of our technology is focused on trying to understand the relationships that businesses are having, and really what level of engagement is required to achieve a certain outcome. So we spend a lot of time connecting to our customers' CRM, their mailboxes, their calendars, their phone systems, and we analyze the last year's worth of traffic to try and understand what level of engagement was required in the past to achieve a certain outcome. And then we use those insights as a benchmark to help customers understand the gap between what good looks like and where they are in flight with their in-flight deals. Everything that EBSTA does is inside Salesforce or inside HubSpot, and it's a very light touch experience. So we've recently launched our 2024 benchmark report. We analyzed just over 4.2 million opportunities that represented $54 billion worth of pipeline. And for the first time, we also analyzed over 1 million hours worth of sales calls and really trying to understand the signals behind revenue for these organizations. And really what's kind of struck us is that in last 12 months, we saw that just 1 in 5 sales reps was hitting quota. And we're spending all of this money on all of these technologies. We've got these huge tech stacks in our front office. It could be, the sales lofts, the outreaches, the Clarys, the gongs, and they're charging us lots of money for all of these tools. But we're still living in a world where only 1 in 5 reps is hitting quota, right? So we need to take a different approach. And really what we found is that in most organizations, you've got these outliers, these A-star players that are crushing their quota. But then you've got the B and C players that are just further and further away. I mean, 3 years ago, the delta between the average performers and the top performers was 4x. At the beginning of last year, it was 6x.
Wow.
And we entered this year with nearly 9x. Okay, so if for every $100,000 that the average performers delivering the business, the top performers are generating nearly $900,000. Okay, there's a huge delta, and we find ourselves in a situation where these top performers are almost holding the business to ransom because they're able to generate so much more revenue than everybody else. So rather than just throwing more tools at our sales teams, we need to start being a lot cleverer. Okay, so my opinion is that the approach to take, we need, first of all, we need to recognize that salespeople have a very limited capacity for learning, right? And so if you've only got a certain capacity for learning, we've got to be very cautious what we use that capacity for. So when we go into these organizations, we're finding that reps are spending a lot of their time being trained on how to do their admin. How to fill in Salesforce, how to update the record with all the contacts they're engaging with, or how to pre-populate MEDPIC inside Salesforce when they're, after they've had a qualifying call or a discovery call. All of these things are things that AI can do for us. Okay, we're living in 2024, right? We're paying salespeople to do something that the AI can't do. And that's about building relationships. That's about building trust, building business cases, and closing business. That's something the AI can't do. And we now live in a world where you can implement technology. It doesn't take a long time, and it doesn't have to be a heavy lift. But the AI out there that we take to market, it can take away all of that admin. Yeah, so we can not just fix all of the dirty data in Salesforce, which we've now been doing for nearly a decade. So we've got over 400 customers using our platform, and they use it. And the first product we took to market, all it did was take the relationships found in mailboxes and calendars and go back through Salesforce and fix all of the old contact records and make sure that 100% of the company's relationships are in CRM. Okay. Then what we found was that the companies that were in the deals where there was a lot of engagement with lots of stakeholders, suddenly we saw they were winning more. So we came up with the engagement score. So it was really our first step into AI or machine learning. So we're taking a feed of all of the activity and trying to understand how strong that relationship is with each stakeholder involved in the sales process. That was our first step into AI. And if you fast forward to today, we officially launched our Call AI product today, which is this fantastic little plugin that sits within in Zoom meetings or team meetings. And it takes, not just builds the transcript for you, but it automatically uses the transcript to tell you how well you qualified the customer, and if you qualified it well enough to lead discovery. And it does all of that inside Salesforce. So once again, we can move away from reps adding one word into their medpick fields, and suddenly you now get a whole paragraph, and it's telling you all the objections that were raised on the call. It's scoring all your medpick qualification or spiced or BANT or you name the qualification, whatever you want, but it's doing it in Salesforce. And the rep gets a kind of a green badge or a red badge if they qualified the customer well enough.
Awesome.
So these are all the different things you can now do where the rep doesn't need to take on responsibility for the admin, and we can use this limited period for learning to focus on objection handling and business case building.
It feels, as you articulate kind of the issues that you've seen and as it relates to humans, right? It feels like we had a world where there was no technology, right? And then we moved into technology, and folks were, I remember, at least my experience, the sales reps, there were a small percentage of them that would actually fill out the CRM and use the software, right? And then there was another set of salespeople that used technology properly, but also did the work and followed through, and they really excelled very well. They were able to understand or extract the value from using technology. And then we moved into this world where managers were process, and our process and technology became an issue, became a limiting sort of factor, right? And now, and this is kind of what I've been sort of dreaming of. I just didn't know what it was going to look like yet, right? Is this idea that we can do our job, we can do our calls, build our relationships, listen, understand the areas in the conversation or in the motion that are going to get us to the next step. So really focus on that, and then allow the AI or the technology. Now with AI, this is actually a possibility just to do all the sort of busy admin work, right? And so it feels like we've done this. We've gone up and down, sideways, and lost ourselves a bit, and now it's coming into a good place.
Yeah, I agree. But and so this new world is not about product anymore. It's about data and insights and process. So what we found is when we look at the data, there's some really interesting kind of takeaways. So let me try and share some of those with the audience. Okay, so first of all, when we look at what top performers are doing differently to the average performers across the different stages of the sales cycle, we see some really interesting kind of data points. So first of all, the top performers have more relationships than the average performers, like 3 times more. And not just in the sales cycle, but they're actually building relationships just in market. People that maybe won't enter a sales process for another year, but they just when we go through the mailboxes of the entire sales team, you can predict which ones are the ones that have got the top performers, because they're the ones that have the most relationships with the C-levels and the VPs at our prospects. So building strong relationships, even in 2024, relationships do drive revenue. And so encouraging the teams to go out there and build those relationships, not just in sales cycles, but also out of it, is really important. Then when we look at the top of the funnel, the top performers are much better at picking the right opportunities to work on. So not all leads are equal. We know that, right? But the average performers are, maybe they're missing quota, so every lead that comes in, they want to jump on. But if we're not, we need to understand which personas are the right personas for us to spend our time with. One of the scariest data points from last year was that nearly half of deals slipped past their anticipated close date. So after the deal's been qualified, it enters a sales cycle, and you've got an anticipated close date. Nearly half of deals slipped past that date. And once deals slip by more than 50% of the average sales cycle, the win rates drop by 90%. Wow. Now, that's scary on its own, but then add to that we saw the volume of pipe being created at the end of last year jump by 23% based on a year versus a year ago. So we've now got all of these new leads coming through, but actually the volume of deals that are actually closing is less. So the sales team are being busier and busier, but we're not actually closing any more business. So the top performers are very good at sniffing out which opportunities are real and trying to understand within an organization which sources, for example, are giving you the right leads. And here's a little the really interesting one for me was how big an impact partnerships are on revenue. And it kind of makes sense, right? If you've got an expert advisor in the customer suggesting that you're the right solution, the win rates go through the roof. And so the top performers are very good at building the relationships with the right partners so that they get those leads in. But the top performers are also twice as likely to self-source their own opportunities.
Interesting. Are we saying that maybe there is some correlation between, let's say, some other stakeholder sourcing opportunities, or maybe inbound and then poorly forecasting?
Yeah, I mean, look, all of the above, right? We talked about top of the funnel. The next stage is obviously qualification. Now, when we do the analysis, we haven't seen a huge delta between the different types of qualification methodologies. Use whatever's the simplest one that's going to work for your business. But the top performers are qualifying customers ruthlessly. They're closing 30% of their opportunities off at the discovery stage as lost. Okay, because they know there's no point in wasting time on these opportunities. While the average performers haven't got quite enough pipeline, they haven't got enough coverage to hit their quota, so they leave opportunities in there, and it just becomes a waste of time. And as leaders, our job is to help the sales team understand what good looks like. So, for example, we did it. Every customer that we onboard, after we fix the historical data, we then do a benchmark report for them. So, what we call our insight report. So, we go back through the last 4 quarters worth of deals closed, won, and lost, and we come up with some really interesting insights. So, for example, how multi-threaded do we need to be to win?
Yeah.
Now, if it turns out it's not unusual to find a place where, on average, they're only engaging with 3 stakeholders in a sales process, but when they engage with 6 or more, their win rates are like 4 times higher. Okay, but by knowing that, suddenly the sales team understand that they're going to win more if they can engage with more stakeholders. And our job as sales leaders is to take the data and turn it into insights that our sales team can understand. Because the great thing about salespeople, even the B and C players, is they all have one thing in common. They all want to win. Okay, and what we need to do as sales leaders is help them win by showing them almost in graphic format, real simple to understand forms to show them, look, over the last year, when we've got 3 stakeholders involved in the sales process, our win rate's 11%. But look, when we get to 6, our win rate's 40%, right? So how do we get more engagement with those right stakeholders? And not every persona is equal. Yeah, there's no point talking to a manager of X when it turns out that the economic buyer is director or C-level. So when the lead comes in, you need to get to that right economic buyer quicker, because frankly, you've only got so much time on your hands. And if they're not going to give you access to the right resources, work on something else instead.
Yeah. What advice would you give sales reps? Because in my experience, this is a delicate balance, right? And so the question is, advice you would give sales reps around balancing maybe influential stakeholders versus economic buyers versus even maybe folks that are a couple clicks away from these stakeholders. And here's kind of like a little more context. So I've been part of organizations where, because it's logical that you want to, like, let's say you're selling sales software, right? You want to speak to the VP, right? Or the CRO. That's ideal, right? If you can get into a meeting with them and so on. But for a lot of different reasons, they can't do that. They haven't been able to get there yet. And so maybe they bump into a marketing person at an event, or they are on some digital event or webinar or something like that, right? Or they're connected on LinkedIn with a marketing person, right? What's interesting is that at these organizations I'm referring to, they're so like the leadership, right? Sales enablement or sales ops or sales leadership. They're so focused on like, no, you're not going to get incentivized for meetings, right? Let's talk about like SDRs that are largely incentivized by these other activities. No, unless you get a meeting with this title and this level, et cetera, you're not. So what ends up happening is that SDR or AE, if they're sourcing their own deals, they're not even paying attention to these, what I call side doors. They're just hammering these titles that they were incentivized. And then their pipeline is, empty. They're not getting traction. They're frustrated, morale, the whole nine. And now we have a problem, right? And I'm not suggesting that these ancillary titles are obviously like going to make a decision, but I've always used a multi sort of touch approach where if I can't get in the front door, then I'm going to go to the side, and then I'm going to have a conversation, a sales talk or a sales, I think now that what are they calling them? We'll just call it a sales talk for that specific stakeholder to be able to get the introduction or the referral into sales, right? And so I think for a lot of us, like if we are able to introduce, like if someone comes up to me and I'm like, look, and they say, look, I got this incredible HR software that could do these amazing things. I know that you're not in HR, but this would just really do XYZ. Would you be open to like introducing me to your HR manager, right? Like, if they did a great job, I want to help my organization, right? So I might most likely, they did a good job and it makes sense. I'm going to do that introduction. So that's what I'm sort of alluding to. And I think you get my point, but my question is like, how do you actually like share this insight with managers out there? And if you haven't been there, like me, I've done this. I've been selling all kinds of crap for years, right? Like I understand the side door works, right? You just have to play it a certain way, and you have to understand where to prioritize it in your day to day. How do you actually communicate that? First of all, do you agree? And secondly, like how do you communicate this strategy to sales leadership, revenue leadership there, to be able to understand it and understand how to like basically train or onboard your reps to do something like this?
Okay, there's a lot there to unpack. First of all, I'd say that that bluntly, marketing is responsible for generating leads. Salespeople are responsible for running sales processes. So we need to separate that out. That's not to say that SDRs can't be a useful function of the marketing engine if that's what they're there to do. I think what's really interesting is, again, let's come back to that fundamental principle. Salespeople want to win, okay? And so when we look at the data, so step one, we know that salespeople want to win. Step two, we know that relationships drive revenue, okay? And so we've got this, we score every relationship a business has out of 100. And we've been doing this now for a decade. So scoring relationships is kind of what we do. We have 100 million relationships under management for our customers, right? So there's a lot of engagement that we're seeing, and we understand what good levels of engagement looks like. You don't always have to get to 100, by the way. A roofing company in Texas uses us, and when they get to an engagement score of 47, they're winning. While a consulting business in San Francisco needs an engagement level of over 90, otherwise they just don't win. So you don't necessarily need to get to 100, but you need to understand how much engagement is required to achieve a certain outcome. Now, coming back to your question, what's really interesting is that both the average performers and the top performers want to build strong relationships with their buying personas, with the buying committee, okay? The difference is the average performers never get that opportunity. And the reason they don't get that opportunity is because they're too busy selling. Let me show you how the buttons work. Right? Let me show you this new feature we've got. None of that matters. Okay. What the top performers are good at doing is presenting themselves as an expert advisor. So you were talking about HR software, okay? Well, the truth is I'm really busy running a business. I've got a problem with my HR tech. I need to do something with it, but I'm not an expert at it. Now, if you come on this call and you want to show me how buttons work, I'm not interested, okay? I might take the call, but you can guarantee I'm not going to be on the next one. I might get someone from HR to take the call, but I'm gone. I'm on to the next thing, okay? But if you come onto the call and you educate me and you show me that you're this expert advisor in the world of HR tech, and you talk to me about all the gotchas that you need to start thinking about when you're buying HR tech, and what other challenges people face when they're doing this stuff, and here are the things that no one's going to tell you about. All of a sudden, we just had half an hour together, and you blew my mind. So when you ask for the next meeting, of course I'm going to take it. You educated me. You helped me learn more. Okay, and we've got to stop talking. We've got to stop selling and allowing buyers to buy. Okay, it's not about sellers selling, it's about buyers buying. And when we come across as expert advisors, people want to spend more time with us. So we do heat maps showing the top performers' level of engagement with the C levels, the VPs, the directors, and those heat maps are always deeper with the top performers. Okay, and it's not that the B and C players don't want to build strong relationships, it's that those stakeholders don't want to engage with them. They'll put someone, yeah, okay, you can talk to someone else. They can do a review of the product. They can show you how you can show him how the product works, or show her how those features operate and how they integrate. I don't really care. Okay, an expert advisor is sitting here going, look, guys, I've only got 8 hours a day that I work, right? We're transforming the way HR works, and if you want me to help you, I'm happy to allocate my time to you. But if you don't want to allocate your time to me, I'll go and work with someone else instead and rock their world and help them solve the challenges. Okay. And and ultimately, I'm going to spend half an hour with you where we're going to work together and decide whether this is a priority over and above the other 7 projects that you're thinking of working on right now. Okay. And at the end of the half an hour, either we're both logical individuals. We're either going to both agree that this is a priority and therefore build a program, build a process that we can both agree and commit to that will allow you to reach a positive conclusion. Or we're going to shake hands and go, this isn't right for you right now. You should focus on those other projects because they're a higher priority than replacing your HR systems. But either way, we're going to reach a consensus. And the top performers present themselves in that format. Okay, they're not showing buttons, they're not showing features, they're not selling product. They're coming across as expert advisors. And by doing that, they're able to build much stronger relationships with the right stakeholders. The stakeholders will take their call, they'll respond to their text messages, and they'll want to engage with them. They'll commit to that sales cycle with them. And that's the key, one of the key differences between the top performers and average performers. And the beauty is we can teach the B and C players how to do more of that, right? But we can't teach them that and get them to do their admin. You've got to pick, right? And the AI can do the admin, but it can't do the trusted advisor bit, right? At least not yet. So we need to focus our energies on teaching the average performers how to replicate what the top performers are doing at the discovery stage, at the different stages of the sales cycle.
That really resonates on a couple fronts. The best organizations I've been part of, they've had others shadow or follow the top performers and try to emulate what they're doing, right? And one thing that I've done over the course of my career, I've tried, is try to be a super fan, a geek on the space, right? And I think that, I haven't always been the most, I don't know, let's say polished salesperson or stuck to the presentation or written a presentation that was impeccable. But I think that one of the things that I've done when I've carried bags is I've gone in there and I think are done what you said, which was really bring in a what I would consider like a consultative, very expert approach on this entire space. And I think that if you have a salesperson who's wondering how to actually do that, I think you have to be super excited, right? You can't fake that. You can't go in there and say, okay, here, I'm going to walk through slides. It's not that. People can smell that and then, smoke you out. And I think energetically, you can pick up on that when someone's really excited and truly knows their space. So those salespeople who are just buying beers and going, yeah, great, and that's all they got. Like, I don't think that there's a world especially in these days where you have product-led growth and people can kick the tires on functionality and these sort of things, right? I just don't think you can do that anymore. And maybe mediocre salespeople in the past that used to do that got by, but I don't know that moving forward you can that's going to fly anymore for all the reasons you mentioned.
Well, I think what's interesting is, again, the AI is here to support us. And so we're now living in this beautiful world where we've got all the data we need. Okay, it may not be in the right place, but we can use tools like EBSTA to bring together all the disparate data from our core systems, our phone records, our mailboxes, our calendars, our CRM, and we can do all of this historical analysis. I mean, no one else does these benchmarkings like we do. You know, we go into a customer, we give them a whole audit of the last year's worth of deals closed, won, and lost. But once we understand what good looks like, we can use it to prompt the reps to do the right next thing. Okay, and that's what's key, because the DNA of what good looks like sits somewhere within all your systems and data. And so, step one, fix the data. Step two, convert the data into insights. And step three, inject those insights in the process to the reps at the right time. And so we now deliver those insights in deal rooms in Slack. We deliver them inside Salesforce. We deliver them in their browser, you know, in their inbox. It doesn't matter where they are, but we're prompting them as to what to do next. And the beauty is that you can use the AI now to actually encourage the rep to do the next thing correctly, and to encourage them to, you know, when we did this piece of analysis on people's, one of the things we can do is import people's kind of old Zoom calls or old Gong calls and try and do a load of analysis on kind of the difference between the top performers and the average performers. And so if you're already using Zoom or Gong, chuck your data at us. Let's show you what we can do, right? Because you'll see that the top performers are spending much more time talking about ROI in the earlier stages of the sales process, while the average performers don't get to ROI and business case until they're presenting back the solution. Mm-hmm. And it's far too late. The decision's already been made in principle. And then you're spending a load of time trying to kind of bring the customer back on board. But the top performers are building that business case with the customer in those discovery stages. And that the questions that they're dealing with are, you know, the truth is here, George, that we most of us live in a world where the customers haven't got a predefined budget for what we sell. Okay. However, if we can show them that the thing that we do is going to make them money or save them money or save them time more than any other project they've got on right now, they'll find the budget, right? And what we need to do is focus much more on that discussion with the customer. Get to a point where that you and the customer are aligned on why you're spending time together. Your time is just as valuable as theirs is. And in a world where there's more leads than we can cope with coming inbound, we need to be a lot more diligent about who we're going to spend our time with. And so building that consensus and working together, yeah, we'll get to the product demo at some point. I might even bring a solution engineer to do it for it, because I'm not very good at that kind of stuff. But boy, do I know your market. Do I know that, you know, the impact we can have. And look, and if the customer doesn't want to spend time with you, that's fine, right? We'll talk to someone else. But understand that early, because we see that only 30% of opportunities open close one. And the deals that close lost spend twice as long in pipeline as deals that close one. So there's all this inefficiency in the way we run sales, and AI is our friend, right? And the beauty in sales is that it's not going to replace us. It's going to assist us, because, you know, it can't do the bit that we do. It can't build the relationships. It can't build the business cases. It can't close the business, but it can assist us. It can help us to have to take away all the admin and busy work. And it can prompt us as to what good looks like when a deal that comes across that looks like this is what you do next.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much. For everyone, go and check out a couple things. Go to EBSTA.com. So that's EBSTA.com. Check out the product, check out all the content, but specifically you can find the 2024 B2B Sales Benchmarks report, which is awesome. Again, insights from $54 billion of pipeline or actually revenue. And I think this is also in partnership with Pavilion, which I wanted to talk to you about, because I know you are the Pavilion CEO ambassador for the UK. So wanted to unpack that a little bit for folks who are in the UK who are interested in potentially participating. What are some of the kind of takeaways that they can expect to experience?
So I'm a huge fan of community, right? And so I got involved in Pavilion about 18 months ago, and it really blew my mind. There's 12,000 members of execs of high growth businesses all coming together, and they have different cohorts for different verticals and different sizes of businesses or different specific roles. And in particular, there is a cohort for CEOs. And we spend a lot of our time as CEOs being very kind of resilient for our team. Everything's fine, whatever's going on, we're here to help. And the beauty of the CEO cohort within Pavilion is we get to really kind of share our war stories, but we share the challenges that we're dealing with. And it's amazing how often there's someone else in the room that's gone through a similar challenge, and they can always help out. So this community is, I found, very special. I'm sure there are other communities that are also special, but I've certainly found Pavilion hugely beneficial. I run dinners every month for CEOs in London. I only get paid in food, so I don't. I still pay my subscription fees for Pavilion like everybody else does, but I'm a big fan of the community. It's a great experience. It's kind of iron sharpening iron. So we're all on the front line. We're all helping each other to kind of get to the next level. But there's other benefits as well. There's a whole kind of Slack community. They get amazing speakers to come in and talk to us every month. I think last month we had Jason Lemkin joined us and basically told us everything we need to know about fundraising and so on. So they're able to draw in some amazing world leaders that can do these talks. The dinners are great. The Slack channels are great. And of course, they've got Pavilion University. And again, a little secret. I had a learning and development budget for my team, and it was actually slightly cheaper for me to put everyone into Pavilion, where they get access to the Pavilion University, than it was to actually go through a traditional kind of a learning and development company. So that was, off the record. That's why I did it. But now a year later, everyone are massive fans. They've all, people have got their CMO badges, CMO school badges, their CRO school badges. These courses are fantastic, and it's just a great community. And if you're in Europe and you're a CEO, reach out. If you're not, reach out to Sam Jacobs. He's the CEO of Pavilion. He's based in New York. But there are chapters all over the world now, and it's amazing. I travel a lot, and wherever I go, there's usually a Pavilion dinner going on somewhere, and I get to jump in and get to meet people that I haven't met before.
Guy, we got to get you to Miami.
Definitely.
There are a couple dinners here that I've really enjoyed tremendously. So
I will make it happen. There's one of my favorite places in the world is in Miami.
Awesome. Well, Guy, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. I'm guessing if folks want to follow you on social media, maybe learn more from you, I know you share a lot of insights just on our space in general. Would LinkedIn be the best channel? Yeah, you can follow me on LinkedIn. We tend to post every day if we can. Loads of insights that we try and share, trying to upskill the whole world as we go. Hopefully people enjoy the content, and of course you can download the report for free at EBSTA.com. This is in conjunction with Pavilion as well. Some amazing content in there, just looking at exactly what the top performers are doing at every stage of the sales cycle. You can really dive into the data, and it's sliced and diced by industry, size of business, and so on. So welcome any feedback, positive and negative. Let me know what you think. Welcome anybody who wants to connect. Awesome. Well, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, George.